Welcome to the Student Growth Percentiles training module from the Goodhue County Education District, presented by Weston Johnson. This presentation is aligned to our goal of implementing assessments within a multi-tiered system of support. The objective of this module is that you will be able to interpret student growth percentile data. This presentation will cover different types of growth, percentiles, interpreting student growth percentiles, and examples of student growth percentiles. Alright, let's start with reviewing different types of growth. Let's first look at a few types of growth. Score growth is the increase of a student's score from one testing period to another. This indicates a student's absolute growth during the period of time. Categorical growth is a student's change in status. For example, a student may go from not proficient to proficient, or from an at-risk category to not at risk. Percentile rank change is the change to a student's achievement level rank. For example, a student may go from the 50th percentile to the 52nd percentile. And student growth percentile compares a student's growth to student peers to determine the rank of their growth. Now, we will look at percentiles. Both percentile rank and student growth percentiles are based on a scale of 1 through 99, and both are norm references. The difference is that percentile rank is what is associated with a student's performance or achievement level on a single measure, whereas a student's growth percentile looks at growth across multiple measures over time. Furthermore, percentile ranks typically look at a grade level peer or norm group, whereas the student growth percentile may look at grade level peers or even a more narrow group of grade level academic or specifically peers with the same initial level score. Initial level peers are peers that had the same or at least a similar starting score. Now, we'll take a look at interpreting student growth percentile data. Let's get interpreting the score. Here we have students compared to their academic or initial level peers. That means that instead of comparing a student's growth to an entire grade level group, the students are compared to peers that started at the same achievement level. So let's look at the group. Group A. This group started off with lower achievement than Group B. Group A started at a score close to 225. They ended with a score range of about 225 to 325. A student who scored at about 285 on the most recent test had an absolute score growth of 60. Compared to the peers in this group, that puts this student at the 75th percentile for growth. Their student growth percentile would be 75. Now let's look at Group B. This group started with higher achievement than Group A. Group B started at a score close to 275. They ended with a score range of about 270 to 325. A student who scored at about 285 on the most recent test had an absolute score growth of 5. Compared to the peers in this group, that puts the student at the 42nd percentile for growth. Their student growth percentile would be 42. A student's growth ranking can be categorized. Flat growth is below the 15th percentile. Modest growth is from the 15th percentile to the 40th percentile. Typical growth is from the 40th percentile to the 75th percentile. And aggressive growth is at the 75th percentile and above. This section will connect what we know about student growth percentiles to specific examples. Here we are going to explore multiple examples of Sally's growth. In this example, we see that Sally has a growth percentile of 53. That's growth greater than 53% of her peer group. Note that when interpreting growth percentiles, you'll want to know whether or not the peer group is grade level peers or the more specific initial level peer group. For Sally, her peer group is grade level peers. Now, with a little more information, we can see that even though Sally was looking a little higher than average, her growth compared to grade level peers at her school is actually lower than average. That's because the norms are established at a national level, while her peer group at her school perform higher. You can see that Sally's classmates in her grade and at her school actually make quite a bit more growth than the national grade level peer group. Now let's switch gears and consider initial level peer comparisons. Bobby was at a low risk at the start of the school year. This is indicated by the green dot. When compared to other initial level peers, his growth is ranked at the 40th percentile, which is a bit below average. Sally, she started the year at high risk. This is indicated by the red dot. When compared to other initial level peers at this lower achievement level group, she made growth slightly above average. Tommy was at some risk at the start of the year, as indicated by the yellow dot. And compared to other peers that started at the same level, he made above average growth. In conclusion, there are multiple ways to measure growth. Percentile ranks can be used for achievement and growth. Student growth percentiles allow for relative growth comparisons, and we viewed examples of student growth percentiles. Thank you for attending this online training module. Again, I'm Weston Johnson with the Goodhue County Education District.